Welcome to another edition of Just the Truth. I'm glad to have you join me today in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Senior Israeli officials said yesterday that they were unaware of any basis for U.S. President Joe Biden's remarks that a hostage-for-ceasefire agreement in Gaza is imminent. The president made the comments while having a vanilla ice cream cone, it appeared. We'll give you all the details of that. Harvard's effort to root out antisemitism has officially entered Keystone Kop territory, according to an editorial written by the New York Post. And the illegal immigrant suspect who was charged in the Augusta University nursing student Laken Riley's death in Athens, Georgia, who is accused of disfiguring her skull. This according to new information added to the affidavit by local officials. And boy, do I have a treat for you, as we had a chance to visit with my friend Ze'ev Orenstein with the city of David. Ever heard of the Pool of Siloam? I got to visit it yesterday and stand on a stone where Jesus stood as he taught the people traveling to the pool. Welcome to this special edition of Just the Truth from the Holy Land. As I've been telling you, our Just the Truth podcast is in Israel this week, partnering with the Yael Eckstein's International Fellowship of Christians and Jews and asking you to step up and join our campaign to provide relief supplies and emergency help to men, women, and children caught in the crossfire of the Hamas war. Ruth Guggenheim is Director of Interfaith Relations for Imminent, a social action organization here in Israel. When you donate to the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, she says you're also helping her organization as well.
There's no competition. We're all together serving God and doing what's best for the entire people. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews from Rabbi Eckstein, they have raised funds and support Emunah also. Emunah has 5 residential homes. The one located, it's called Neve Michel, located in Pardes Chana, which is where the Ecksteins lived and Yael currently lives. They have been supporting that home for at least 25 years to my knowledge. So we are in this together. You know, the International Fellowship is a fundraising mechanism to bring support and appreciation for Israel and the people of Israel and help all people to support the efforts of organizations that are on the ground serving the people.
I hope you'll join me in stepping up. Do whatever you can afford to make a gift helping the people of Israel. Just the Truth is working with the Salem Radio Network's Mike Gallagher Show. To help, please just go to my website, joeyhudson.com, click on the International Fellowship banner, open your heart and hopefully your wallet to help the Israeli people as they cope in the ongoing Hamas war.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson Bill, but, you know, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson Bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
As we broadcast from the studios of the Jewish News Syndicate, in a report here in Jerusalem, senior Israeli officials said yesterday that they're unaware of any basis for U.S. President Joe Biden's remarks that he made on Monday as he was eating ice cream that a hostage-for-ceasefire agreement in Gaza is imminent. During an unannounced visit to the Van Leeuwen Ice Cream in Manhattan near Rockefeller Plaza, Biden was asked about a ceasefire in Gaza and when it might start. He said, per a pool report, "I hope by the end of the weekend. My national security advisor tells me that we're close. We're not done yet," he said. "My hope is that by next Monday, we'll have a ceasefire." Yannette noted that the senior Israeli officials are saying on yesterday morning that they do not understand what the American president's optimism is based on. The Hamas terrorist group also weighed in on Biden's comments, with a source telling Reuters that the statement was premature and did not align with the situation on the ground. Their statement said there are still big gaps that need to be bridged before there is a ceasefire. A spokesman for the Qatari foreign minister said yesterday that there has been no breakthrough in negotiations that can be announced, while expressing that Doha is optimistic that a deal can be reached even though Hamas and Israel don't agree on any of the main issues. He added that Qatar has no intention of responding to Joe Biden's comments. Reuters reported yesterday, too, on the details of the proposal that supposedly has been discussed at the Paris summit this past weekend and submitted to Hamas for review. Citing a senior official privy to the details of the talks, the news agency reported that the proposal focuses on the first phase of the agreement. It would last for 40 days and include the release of 10 Palestinian security prisoners for every Israeli hostage, which is 7 more Palestinian terrorists freed per Israeli captive compared to the previous deal that they made last November. 40 Israeli hostages in a total for 400 Palestinian security prisoners in this first stage, we're told. Further, the Israeli captives include women, of course, abductees aged 19 and under, adults aged 50 and over, and some captives who are very sick. Both sides will cease fire for 40 days, and the IDF patrol flights over Gaza will stop for 8 hours a day. Again, this is per the proposed agreement. After the first phase, the IDF will gradually begin to withdraw its forces from dense areas of the Strip. Additionally, displaced Palestinians will gradually be allowed to return to the northern Gaza Strip, except for men of enlistment age for Hamas. With regard to humanitarian aid, the proposal reportedly includes a commitment to bring in 500 aid trucks every day and to supply 200,000 tents, 60,000 trailers. Also, Gazans will be allowed to rehabilitate bakeries and hospitals. And, of course, this is where our partner this week comes in as they open that up for these aid trucks. I can promise you that the International Fellowship will be part of that. According to the New York Times, citing 2 officials familiar with the negotiations, Israeli officials have privately agreed to a U.S. proposal that would see 5 IDF female soldiers released in exchange for 15 Palestinians convicted of major terror offenses, in addition to 15 additional Palestinian prisoners for each soldier, totaling 60. The other 35 hostages to be released in the first phase include 7 women that Israel believes should have been freed in the November deal. To release the 7 women, Israel has proposed to release 21 Palestinian prisoners, the same 3-to-1 ratio as under the previous deal. Further, Israel would release 6 Palestinian prisoners for each civilian man aged 50 and up and free 12 Palestinian prisoners for each sick or wounded man. Male soldiers would be released in separate negotiations. Now, I want these folks to be released, but doesn't it strike you a little odd that they're having to do a 3-to-1 ratio, and in some cases even a 10-to-1 ratio? And it does make me a bit nervous of some of the backgrounds on these Palestinians that are being released. But again, this is speculation. We don't know if, in fact, this is going to happen, even if Joe Biden claimed that it would be done by sometime next week. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line. You can leave a voice message as well. What do you think about this potential hostage exchange? And do you agree that it's a fair trade for, in some cases, getting a 10-to-1, 10 Palestinian terrorists or prisoners for one innocent captive? I don't know. Look, if my wife or my child is over there, I'm probably going to say give them 20 or 25 or whatever they want to get my loved one back. I get that. As we are in Israel this week to stand with Israel, the New York Post editorial board challenges Harvard University's task force established to root out antisemitism at one of the nation's top universities. Before we get into that, let me talk with you about my journey with PhD weight loss and nutrition. Just over 3 years ago now, I started the PhD weight loss and nutrition program after I was introduced to Dr. Ashley Lucas, who is the founder of PhD weight loss and nutrition. I lost 30 pounds within a matter of a few weeks. I've been able to maintain that weight loss for over 3 years now. If you're wanting to lose weight, more importantly, if you're wanting to get healthy, Let me encourage you to make that call today, 864-252-4925. Call and set up your initial consultation. Go in, you'll sit down, and you'll speak with someone and determine if this is the right program for you. I think it will be. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised once you start the program. Call today, 864-252-4925, and I promise you, in about a month, you're going to be emailing me. You're going to be sending me a text on the Furman Ford text line about 10, 20, 30 pounds or more weight loss in just a short period of time. PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition, the official partner of the Clemson Tigers. So Harvard's effort, this is according to a New York Post editorial that was written and posted by the New York Post editorial board yesterday. It reads, Harvard's effort to root out antisemitism has officially entered Keystone Kop territory. Business professor Raphaela Sadoun, appointed co-chair of the troubled task force just last month, abruptly resigned over the weekend, reportedly because the task force's mandate doesn't include any high-priority changes to actually combat Jew hatred on the campus. The remaining co-chair, meanwhile, is Derek Penzlar, an Israel-hating historian who claimed that the problem of Jew hatred at Harvard has been exaggerated by outsiders. And don't forget, they write, the earlier resignation of world-famous Rabbi David Wolpe from the task force, explaining on X that the system at Harvard and the ideology that grips far too many of the students and faculty, and that places Jews as oppressors, is itself evil. Harvard business professor Raphaela Sadoun has resigned as co-chair of this anti-Semitism task force. It's just unbelievable that we have what once was one of the nation's leading universities in this situation. New York Post continues to write, and of course, all this follows now ousted Pres Claudine Gay's inability to tell Congress whether calls for the genocide of Jews violated Harvard's code of conduct. It's kind of like not being able to give a definition of a woman, right? Or not being able to say that there are two sexes, male and female. Color us totally unsurprised that a university whose staff and faculty came out in force to support the terrorist killers of Hamas after October 7th never planned to actually do anything about dealing with its deep-rooted Jew hatred, they write. Guess what? Why does the school muckamucks brazenly refuse to hand out key documents around this ugly issue to a House probe and now face a congressional subpoena? Plainly, Harvard's rampant Jew hatred, far from being exaggerated by outsiders, has been fostered by insiders who then set up the task force to whitewash the school, its faculty, and its administration. They wrap the editorial up by saying to draw false equivalencies between Israel's justified counterattack against Hamas and the atrocities that provoked it, and to shore up the hard-left political complex in which rank hatred of Jews is laundered via social justice jargon and junk history into a legitimate form of social protest against the non-existent colonialism that allegedly underlies the foundation of Israel and the non-existent apartheid that Jew haters claim reigns there today. The task force is a moral disgrace, the Post writes, and anyone blind enough to remain a member now deserves only public shame. An update on the illegal immigrant suspect charged in Augusta University nursing student Laken Riley's death in Athens, Georgia. He is accused of disfiguring her skull, according to new information that was added to the police report. That in just a moment. First, let me talk with you about that new vehicle. You're looking for a new car, maybe a new SUV for the family? Look no further than Furman Ford in Lawrence. If you want great service, if you don't want to have to wait weeks or months for your vehicle, if maybe you don't want a new vehicle, but you'd like a pre-owned vehicle that you can trust. All of this is possible at Furman Ford in Lawrence. And you have an opportunity to deal with a Furman family member every time you interact with them, whether it's a phone call, an email, or you just stop by Furman Ford to check out some of their inventory or to inquire about service of your vehicle. You don't have to have purchased a vehicle there. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models models at Furman Ford. Furman Ford. Find them online at furmanford.com. furmanford.com. Jose Antonio Ibarra, who is charged with the felonies of malice murder, kidnapping, false imprisonment, aggravated assault, aggravated battery, and concealing the death of another, as well as the misdemeanor of physically hindering a 911 call, according to the affidavit that was filed February the 23rd. Now, according to new information released, Ibarra did commit the offense of aggravated battery when he maliciously causes bodily harm to another by seriously disfiguring her body or a member thereof by disfiguring her skull. Wow. This was a monster to kill this innocent young lady, 22 years old. For the felony offense of concealing the death of another, the arrest affidavit accuses Ibarra of dragging the victim to a secluded area. Law enforcement has not yet disclosed exactly how Riley was killed, only that her death was caused by blunt force trauma. More information about the type of object used or exactly how she was killed was not included in the arrest affidavits that were filed in Athens Clarke County Superior Court. Her roommate reported she did not return from an early morning run last Thursday. University of Georgia police found her body in the woods along a trail by the intramural fields just before 1 p.m. that afternoon. Immigration and Customs Enforcement on Sunday confirmed that Ibarra, a Venezuelan national, had entered the U.S. illegally in 2022 and had previously been arrested in New York City and released. Fox News had previously reported that the 26-year-old Ibarra had crossed into the U.S. near El Paso, Texas, back in September of 2022 and was paroled into the U.S. In a statement to Fox News, ICE confirmed that he had been encountered by Customs and Border Protection later on September the 8th in 2022 after entering near El Paso and was paroled, released for further processing. And this is the problem with this system. When they talk about releasing them for and further processing, they never go back. They throw that piece of paper away that they were given with a date to report back. ICE also said that Ibarra had been arrested by the New York Police Department about a year later in 2023 and charged with acting in a manner to injure a child less than 17 and a motor vehicle license violation. On Monday, it was corrected, the statement saying he was arrested August 31st, not in September of 2023. ICE's statement said that Ibarra was released before a detainer could be issued. New York City, of course, a sanctuary city, generally restricts law enforcement from complying with ICE detainers. Another big problem with our system in these cities who claim sanctuary city status. I mean, why would New York want to release a criminal like this and have him living among their people? Makes no sense. Former President Trump, of course, blasted Biden's border invasion, as he named it, on a post in Truth Social, saying that Riley's murder should have never happened. And he's right, it should not have. If we had been doing our job as a country, if the Biden administration had been protecting our borders, this young lady would still be alive trying to study at the school to reach her dream. In a letter to President Biden last week, Republican Georgia Governor Brian Kemp demanded, quote, a response to questions surrounding the immigration status of the arrested suspect in the murder of Laken Riley and asylum claims of the suspect's brother. He went on to write, Laken Riley's tragic death struck the hearts of Georgians everywhere and has rightfully sparked national outrage. In his statement, Governor Kemp said, as I've said many times before, every state is now a border state because of Joe Biden's inaction, and today I'm again demanding answers and information from the Biden administration that will help us protect our citizens when the federal government will not do so. Clarke County Magistrate Judge Donarell Green denied Ibarra's bond on Saturday. Two translators, we're told, were present to make sure he understood what he was being told as he nodded when spoken to. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Send your comments to the Furman Ford text line. Leave a quick voice message. Emails welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, a lot of comments coming in about the Biden border visit that he announced coming up for Thursday. Bobby writes, good morning, Joey. Are they going to clean up the border like they did the first, last, and only time Biden went there? They need to keep the illegal immigrants there so he can see the problems he created. He is a mess. Have a great day, and I love your podcast. Thank you, Bobby. Appreciate you listening. Tony writes, Joey, he's only going to the border because it's election year and because his numbers are horrible. You're right, Tony. I don't think a trip to the border is going to help him, though. Do you? Susan says the Associated Press hasn't been objective in years, if not decades. I was beyond disgusted not only with the refusal to include Ibarra's illegal status, but they're blaming Laken Riley for jogging alone. I see no difference between that and blaming women for getting raped. And Jeff says, I just want to say thanks again for all you do and tell you guys to be careful over there. We greatly appreciate you doing this. We stand with Israel and God. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate that. From the email inbox, B. Mac writes, I hope you're happy and safe as you travel into dangerous terrain. If I could send one message to the people of Israel, I would say, I'm sorry this has happened to you. Can you tell me why it's happening to you? Can you tell me what the future looks like to you in 3 years? Do you believe Israel will always be at war? And do you think in the near future a U.S. president will oppose Israel? Establishing a pen pal network with your listeners, linking Israel citizens to your audience, would provide insight and empathy to the victims of the war. Just a thought. Take care. B-Mac, that sounds like a great idea. Thanks for your email. Your emails are welcome as well. Joey@joeyhudson.com, Joey@joeyhudson.com. What do you think about this suggestion? Would you write? Would you be a pen pal to an Israeli? We'll look into that. Appreciate that comment. 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639 is the Furman Ford text line. Your comments are welcome. So as we broadcast from Israel this week, my friend Mike Gallagher, who I'm over here, I'm on this trip because of the Mike Gallagher Show, and we're both honored to be here to talk with people in Israel, try to understand what they're experiencing in these tough times. You can listen to Mike's show at mikeonline.com, and let me encourage you to do so. You can download the app too, watch it on the Salem News Channel at snc.tv. One of my favorite places in Jerusalem is the City of David. I had the chance several years ago on a previous trip to meet Ze'ev Orenstein. He's the Director of International Affairs for the City of David Foundation. They're doing amazing work. They are excavating the pilgrimage road to rediscovering the Pool of Siloam. And boy, what a job this is, and how exciting it is for me to be able to see some things that in some cases never been seen before, as we saw some newly excavated areas as we walk through. I'm sure you're familiar with the Pool of Siloam and the biblical significance of that. I'm going to talk with you more about that. But Mike and I had the chance to revisit with Ze'ev yesterday, and you're going to want to hear every bit of this. First portions of today's show brought to you by Discounted Appliance Warehouse. Are you tired of buying appliances from inexperienced sales staff who have no appliance knowledge whatsoever? With so many different options, brands, features, it's kind of tough sometimes to figure out which one's right for you. Well, you're not going to have to worry about that when you deal with Discounted Appliance Warehouse. They have an A-plus Better Business Bureau rating. They're nearly perfect reviews on Google. And here's the best part. The team at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they have the knowledge to help you have the confidence in your purchase. Appliances are not inexpensive. You got to get it right. They'll help you as you walk through the warehouse. It's over 11,000 square feet, and it is packed with new appliances. Quite often you can buy today and use the same day. That's just how quickly they can get it out. They have an award-winning service department that I've seen firsthand, and extended warranties they offer. Again, they cover you well beyond the sale. And Discounted Appliance Warehouse are proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with up to 7-year warranty on parts and labor. Visit my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens and online at dawpickens.com. So before we get into a conversation with Ze'ev Orenstein, let's have a little biblical history here on the city of David. It began its existence in the days of Abraham. It was a fortified Canaanite city around the famous Gihon Spring of ancient Jerusalem. About 3,000 years ago, we're told, David left his city of Hebron and went up to Jerusalem in order to unite Israel around one capital city. With the conquest of Jerusalem by the Jebusites, David made it the capital of a prosperous and powerful kingdom. Solomon, who was David's son, built the temple on the summit of Mount Moriah, the place where Isaac was bound, and thus Jerusalem became a political, religious, and spiritual capital for the people of Israel as a whole, and remains so today. Today, it's possible to visit a lot of these ancient sites in the City of David National Park. It's located on a small and beautiful hill. It's next to the Western Wall, south of the Ashpot Gate of Old Jerusalem. The experience of visiting the site includes some great content. And I get excited about history like this, especially biblical history. It's just amazing how serious Israel takes these historical sites and the excavation of these sites. Some of the, again, one of my favorite areas of the City of David and the work that the City of David Foundation is doing is the excavation of Pilgrimage Road. Now, there's parts of this, and this is a path that people would walk to get to the Pool of Siloam. There are parts of it now that are 60 feet below the ground. But they've been able to excavate. I mean, the pavers, some of the stone flooring is in perfect shape. Here's a few key highlights, and again, I just want to do a little history here before I get into to my talks with Ze'ev Orenstein and what Mike Gallagher and I were able to talk with him about. The Pilgrimage Road in the City of David is considered one of the most expensive and most complex excavations currently taking place in Israel, and you can see why. By the way, I posted some photos on Facebook. I'm going to have more video on various platforms: Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Go to my YouTube channel. Within a day or so, I'm going to have a lot of video of this excavated area. It's pretty amazing what they've done here. The length of Pilgrimage Road that connects the Siloam Pool at the south of the City of David to the Temple Mount is 600 meters. It's about 8 meters wide, and at its southern end of the road, it gets even wider. The Pilgrimage Road is like the Mohaine Yehuda Market, or that's sort of their equivalent of Fifth Avenue. It's the ancient Jerusalem market. You can they're finding coins and weights and just special discoveries as they excavate this area. As we were walking through, Ze'ev was showing Mike and me an area that they were just getting ready to, or were in the middle of excavating, and literally handed us a piece of pottery that was sticking out of the ground that was thousands of years old. An ancient drainage channel passes underneath the road as it goes towards the Pool of Siloam. This channel, we're told, was used in the days of the Second Temple as a hiding place for Jewish rebels who were hiding from Roman soldiers. They found cooking pots, oil lamps, hundreds of bronze coins from the Great Revolt, and even a sword that belonged to a Roman legionnaire were all discovered in this channel. And even though many attribute the building of the road to Herod the Great, some of their recent research and as they've been doing this excavation shows that the road was built after Herod's time under the Roman governors of Jerusalem. It was most likely built by the Roman governor Pontius Pilate, also known, of course, for sentencing Jesus to crucifixion. So let's start at the entrance to the city of David. My friend Mike Gallagher immediately noticed a new plaque on a wall. There's this beautiful garden that Ze'ev always starts our visits with, and we've known Ze'ev for a number of years now. I stay in touch with him. And every time that we've been able to meet with Ze'ev, and this was is my fourth trip to Israel. Of course, we had a listener trip that was scheduled last fall. Fortunately, it was scheduled for the end of October. Unfortunately, of course, we had to cancel it after the October 7th attack. Hopefully, we're going to be rescheduling that in the next year to 2 years, and hope you'll join us. But I always love our visits, and there's this beautiful garden area that Ze'ev always starts our visits with. He has snacks and water and all, and we sit and visit. And Mike noticed that there was a new plaque on the wall in this garden. So here's Mike Gallagher setting the stage for our tour.
As we continue the Mike Gallagher Show from Israel, sponsored by the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews, we are at a location that many have described as the best kept secret in all of Israel, the city of David, which has been a remarkable archaeological find. This is really where Jerusalem began. And our friend Ze'ev Orenstein is going to kind of walk us through what has happened over the last few years since we were last here in the fall of 2019. At the entrance of the city of David is this beautiful plaque that reads, "The city of David brings biblical Jerusalem to life at the very place where the kings and prophets of the Bible walked. It is the site where internationally acclaimed archaeological discoveries have been unearthed, including the Pool of Siloam, the Pilgrimage Road, the Gihon Spring, and Ezekiel's Tunnel. As the prophet Isaiah said, out of Zion shall go forth the law and the word of the Lord from Jerusalem. The spiritual bedrock of our values as a nation comes from Jerusalem. It is upon these ideals that the American Republic was founded and the unbreakable bond between the United States and Israel was formed. The city of David serves as a proud reminder of the glorious heritage of the United States of America." And of course, at the bottom of this plaque is David Friedman, U.S. Ambassador to Israel. You may recall that we were invited to go to the brand new embassy after President Trump moved the embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. And we were so honored. We were there even before David Friedman arrived. We were the first contingent to get to see the brand new embassy in Jerusalem, not Tel Aviv. A very significant journey. I'm glad you're with us. We're about to enter the city of David and chat with Ze'ev Orenstein from the City of David Foundation.
So that's the plaque that was on the wall. Mike and I then we started to tour some of the areas that Ze'ev had indicated that had great progress on since we were here back in the fall of 2019. Mike talked with Ze'ev about the significance of the plaque and the special relationship between the United States and Israel. And this is why Mike and I are in Israel this week as we stand with Israel.
Now, I started this segment reading a plaque that was not here when we visited 4 years ago. Talk about the significance of that powerful message about the alliance between the United States and Israel.
So one of the last things that the previous administration did before leaving office was they recognized the city of David as a heritage site, but not as a Jewish heritage site and not as an Israeli heritage site. They recognized it as an American heritage site, which is why there's a giant American flag on that plaque. And the question is, why would the United States of America recognize a site some 6,000 miles outside the United States as an American heritage site? And the answer is very simple, which is they realized that the bedrock upon which the United States of America was established is what's known as the Judeo-Christian heritage. And that heritage has its roots in Jerusalem, which is the city of David. What makes the relationship between our two countries so special is not democracy, high-tech, or shared enemies, but we're the only two countries left in the world today that still were both founded upon and aspire to live up to the values that come from Jerusalem, what's called the Judeo-Christian heritage. The roots of that heritage is literally where we're standing right now.
I mean, this is just amazing to me. I hope you're as excited about it as I am. But again, to stand in this area, knowing that people walked these paths to get to the Pool of Siloam. Mike jokingly suggested that the city of David is one of the best kept secrets in Israel. Ze'ev says that's not exactly the case, or at least he doesn't want it to be, and explains why his organization, the City of David Foundation, wants to be sure that it does not remain a secret.
We're not changing that. We don't want it to be a secret. Today, you have over 1 million people a year coming through the city of David. When someone wants to understand the significance of Jerusalem, historically, spiritually, also politically, they are coming to the city of David. Because up until 150 years ago, everyone was looking for Jerusalem in the wrong place.
Right.
Everyone thought it must be the old city of Jerusalem, the Western Wall, the Via Dolorosa, but the place where the kings of the Bible ruled and the prophets of the Bible preach is actually just outside the old city, here in the city of David, the place where Jerusalem began.
Again, Ze'ev Orenstein, the Director of International Affairs for the City of David, as Mike Gallagher and I were able to spend some time with Ze'ev yesterday. Now, one of my favorite things, as I mentioned earlier, about Jerusalem is the Pilgrimage Road. Go to my Facebook page. I posted a few photos on there. Just go to Facebook, search for Joey Hudson. I'll have more coming on YouTube. Check out YouTube. I posted a video yesterday, got some more video footage that I'll be posting there as well. But what I love about this Pilgrimage Road, and just to sort of set the stage for you, and it's hard to describe. And again, if you go to Facebook and just look at some of the photos, you can better understand. But it's literally this trail, this road that people walk to get from Jerusalem to the Pool of Siloam and back. They discovered it a few decades ago. They are excavating it, and it's like walking through a tunnel right now. I mean, they're reinforcing this area with these large steel beams, but there's actually the stones, the tiles that Jesus walked on. And one of my favorite things, and again, you'll see a photo of this if you go to Facebook, is this large stone that Ze'ev says that they're 99% certain is where this road passes through, that Jesus stood on that very stone as he taught the people passing along Pilgrimage Road, making their way to the Pool of Siloam. This is just, it's been one of my special places for years, since the first time we were able to go there. Check out the photo of me and Ze'ev and Mike literally standing on a stone that Jesus Christ stood on. Here's Ze'ev's explanation of that Pilgrimage Road and the area we were standing in.
So we're standing right now on a half-mile stretch known as the Pilgrimage Road. This is what I call the biblical superhighway. Anywhere you wanted to go in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago, this is the road that would take you there, leading up from the Pool of Siloam, up through the city of David, up to the temple, atop the Temple Mount, some 2,000 years ago. This was the bustling heart of Jerusalem in the times of the temple, going back to the time of Jesus, 2,000 years ago. Now, you would have had, according to the historian Josephus, nearly 3 million people, say on the Passover festival, making pilgrimage up along this very road, these stones, this road, and archaeologists discover something unique. So far, the only one of its kind found in Jerusalem, found here in the city of David, along the Pilgrimage Road, and this is this podium over here, which is very relevant to the work that you're doing every day. Right. Imagine 2,000 years ago, someone has a message they want to share, a political message, a spiritual message, an ethical message they want to preach. What are they going to do? They're going to get up here and they're going to give their message. And if they're interesting, someone will stop and listen. The people will gather here, they'll listen. And if not, someone else will get up and give it a go. But this is where you're giving your stump speech. This is where you're giving whatever message you have to share. You could imagine the likes of whom 2,000 years ago would have been standing, walking along this road, standing on this podium, speaking to all the people gathering here.
And it is believed that Jesus Christ spoke from this podium, correct?
Well, here's what I could tell you. I could tell you that if you believe that there was a historic Jesus 2,000 years ago, then he was Jewish. He would have gone with all the Jews down to the Pool of Siloam and the city of David to cleanse. He would have walked up this very road that we're standing on, the Pilgrimage Road going through the city of David up to the temple on the Temple Mount, and if you had a message to share, this is where it would have been shared from. This is the beating heart of Jerusalem. 2,000 years ago. And the amazing thing is, there's likely no place in the world that means more to more people as a source of meaning, identity, faith, purpose, inspiration than Jerusalem. For billions, not millions.
And then at the end of Pilgrimage Road is the Pool of Siloam. Now let's do a quick Bible study of the Pool of Siloam. Just a refresher. I know that you've all heard of this. It appears one place in the Old Testament and a couple places in the New Testament, particularly John 9:7 and John chapter 11. The pool is significant because John tells us about a man who was born blind at birth, was miraculously healed by Jesus at this location, at the Pool of Siloam. This is one of those stories that we all learn about in Sunday school, going to church as a kid. The purpose of that story, of course, is to teach us that Jesus is God who has authority and power to heal. And a secondary purpose of that is to tell us that this event teaches us that illness and disease is not always due to one's personal sin. It's often due to the fact that we live in a fallen world, riddled with sin and evil, and it's something that we have to deal with. So as we wrapped up our visit to the city of David, Ze'ev talked with us about the significance of the Pool of Siloam, which, by the way, they've been excavating it for, again, a couple of decades now. This past year, just last summer, just prior to the unfortunate attack in October, they opened the Pool of Siloam to the public to view. So if you're able to go to Israel sometime in the future, hopefully in the near future, you'll be able to see the Pool of Siloam now that it's open. Their goal is, and their hope is, to eventually open the Pilgrimage Road area where we've been able to visit a few times and was visiting yesterday. Here's Ze'ev talking about the Pool of Siloam with Mike Gallagher.
So we have been teaching in our faith that God has many messengers. And in this case, going back to 2004, that messenger was a busted sewage pipe. And where we're standing here, it was underground. You had a road above our heads. And in 2004, a sewage pipe bursts. The municipality of Jerusalem has to send in construction crews to repair the sewage pipe, bulldozers and dump trucks doing their work, archaeologists are supervising. And what happens? They begin to hear scraping and scratching. It doesn't sound right. They clear everyone out, and they unearth a series of steps going back 2,000 years to the time of Jesus. And they said there's only one other set of steps in all of Jerusalem that look just like these, the southern steps ascending to the temple atop the Temple Mount. So they say, well, what are these steps over here? And they realized they had found the steps leading down to the ancient Pool of Siloam. Now, what is the Pool of Siloam? First, for Christians, as you mentioned, it is a site of deep significance of the story of the healing of the blind man. Now, for Jews, in the Bible, there are 3 times during the year: Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles, when all of Israel would have to go on pilgrimage up to the temple atop the Temple Mount. Now, before you can go up to the temple, what do you have to do? You have to wash, cleanse, bathe, go into a ritual bath. The Pool of Siloam, archaeologists believe, was the size of 2 Olympic-sized swimming pools. Why so big? To accommodate, according to the historian Josephus, the nearly 3 million people who would cleanse themselves on those pilgrimage festivals before going up to the temple. And what the archaeologists here of the Israel Antiquities Authority are involved in is excavating, unearthing the Pool of Siloam. The steps that we see over here, only unearthed a few months ago, had not been seen in 2,000 years. Literally bringing Jerusalem, the Jerusalem of the Bible, back to life.
Imagine that had not been seen for 2,000 plus years until the City of David Foundation was able to, when they discovered it, start the excavation. Again, it's amazing, and it's hard to understand. It's hard for me to have the words to explain this. Again, check out Facebook. I posted some photos there. I've got some additional video that's coming to my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel, go to YouTube, search for Joey Hudson, subscribe, and click on notifications, as I'll be posting that pretty soon. That wraps up day 2 in the Holy Land. Later today, we're headed over to Tel Aviv to visit the Hostage Square. We'll be talking with people in and around Tel Aviv there. On Thursday, we visit the site near Gaza, where so many innocent people lost their lives to the savages of the Hamas attacks. Say a prayer of protection for Mike and me and our the guys who are with us, driving us around. And also, I'm pretty excited about our visit with Yael Eckstein, the CEO and president of International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. The reason that we're in Israel this week to begin with. What an impressive organization. You're going to want to hear this conversation with Yael. That's on tomorrow's edition of Just the Truth. Appreciate you joining me in the PhD Weight Loss and Nutrition Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined our mailing list, now's the time to do it. Just go to my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails. Also, as I mentioned, find me on YouTube. Just search for Joey Hudson. Subscribe. Click on notifications. I've got some good stuff I'm going to be posting on YouTube, showing you some of our visit here. Thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Be sure and recommend Just the Truth to your friends and family. Forward this episode. Forward it to a couple of people. Let them know about our visit here in Jerusalem and the special work that the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews is doing. Go to my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the banner about the fellowship, and if you can afford to help out, give as generously as possible. Keep your comments coming via the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. Keep those emails coming too, Joey at joeyhudson.com. We're back again tomorrow in Jerusalem at the jnc.org studios in Jerusalem. Hope you'll plan to be with us. Until then, remember, folks, God's got this. He's still in control.